And today's lesson, it's going to be this one. Lesson B, favorite books. Favorite books. Vocabulary in context. The first part says, what are some classic works of literature? Who wrote them? Make a list. Okay, and here we have a few examples. War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu, Murasaki Shikibu, and Irasema by Jose de Alencar. Do you know any other classics of literature? Classic works from literature? Can someone of you like tell me one? Can some of you tell me one? One example of a classic of literature? No? Okay, Monse, tell me one.
Yeah, I have one, Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare.
Exactly, Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, exactly. Yes, Romeo and Juliet, exactly. Perfect. Another one, Vanessa, yes?
I know one, but I don't really know if it's considered a classic. But it's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Of course it is a classic. Yes, it is. It is one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites, actually. So yes, Pride and Prejudice. I think it was like this. Pride and Prejudice. Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice. By Jane Austen. Exactly. Yes. Yes, perfect. And last one. One last one. Let me see. Okay, Kayla, yes? Tell me one.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
Por ejemplo, los nombres de los libros, por ejemplo, el de Don Quijote de la Mancha, ¿se va a traducir o así se queda?
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's kind of like that. For example, it's not translated like that, like per se, especially because it's a Spanish book. Okay, it's a book that it's in Spanish. Okay, originally written in Spanish. So it's like that. The story of Don Quixote. That's how it is in English. Okay, so for example, it's the story of Don Quixote, but like this, written like this with an X, Quixote, by, and who wrote Don Quixote? Who knows? Who wrote Don Quixote?
That de Miguel de, ¿cómo se llama? Miguel de Cervantes.
Miguel de Cervantes, exactly. Yes, by Miguel de Cervantes. All right. So yeah, it's like that. It's like that, Kayla. If the book is in Spanish, it's written in Spanish. Okay, and we are supposed to say it in Spanish. All right. Some of them are translated, of course, like here in English, right? Some books in English, when they arrive here in Mexico, they are translated. But the most common thing is to say them in Spanish. Okay?
Yes, teacher, thank you.
Perfect. Yes, you're very welcome. I hope that answers your question. Excellent. So yeah, here we have a few examples of some classics works of, or some classic works of literature. Okay? So perfect. Now let's see, and let's read about people talking about the reading habits. Okay, the reading habits. What does each person like to read? Right, let's see. So it says, they say young people don't read literature anymore. So we interviewed people to find out. What does that mean? Let me see, Monse. What does this mean? They say young people don't read literature anymore. So we interviewed people to find out. What does this mean? What does this mean? This part. Monse, are you here? Let me see the chat. No, there's nothing on the chat. Okay, I guess Monse's not here. Melanie. Melanie, are you here? Yes, no. I'm guessing not as well. So
Teacher, sorry. I was busy, but I'm here.
okay. Oh, don't worry, Monse. Can you please translate this part, please? They say young people don't read literature anymore, so we interviewed people to find out. What does that mean?
I think well, I don't know how to say that, but I have an idea. I think people don't read now literature because the way how it's proven sometimes is really difficult for us and well for the young people, and I think the interpretation well don't have the interpretation or don't understand the how is the author says
Okay.
what the author is right. I don't know, that's my point of view.
Yeah, that's perfect. Excellent. And what do you think means in Spanish now? What's the translation of this? The translation.
Okay. Ellos dicen que los adolescentes, las personas adolescentes no leen literatura más. Así que, ¿cómo se dice? Ay, interview, pero se me fue la palabra en español. Le preguntaremos, le interrogaremos a personas interrogaremos personas a find out, I don't know, o encontraremos, no sé.
Para descubrirlo, to find out, para averiguarlo. And interview means entrevistar.
Okay,
right?
Thank you.
No, you're very welcome, and that's perfect. Excellent. So, and also young people can be translated as adolescentes, but also jóvenes, young people, jóvenes. Excellent. So let me see. Itzel, can you read the first paragraph, please? This one?
Okay, who's your favorite author? Well, let's see. I love Isabella Allende's novels. Her best one was the stories of Eva Luna. I would love to write like her, but I'll never be able to. She's so talented, and she tells these amazing magical stories. I've read every book she's ever written. I hope written. She's ever written. I hope she reads a new one soon.
Excellent. Michael, yes, perfect. So it says, who's your favorite author? What does that mean? Who's your favorite author?
¿Quién es tu autor favorito?
Exactly. ¿Quién es tu autor favorito? Who's your favorite author? Well, let's see.
Es bueno, veamos, ¿no? Como una expresión.
Bueno, vamos a ver, veamos. I love Isabel Allende's novels.
Amo las novelas de Isabel Allende.
Amo las novelas de Isabel Allende. Her best one was, oh, wait.
Su mejor novela fue, oh, espera,
Exactly. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
está en la punta de mi lengua.
Exactly. Lo tengo en la punta de la lengua. The Stories of Eva Luna.
Las historias de Balloon.
Las historias de Eva Luna. Correct. I would love to write like her, but I will never be able to.
Me encantaría escribir como ella, pero nunca seré capaz.
Exactly. She's so talented and she tells these amazing magical stories.
Ella es muy talentosa y cuenta estas historias, bueno, estas increíbles historias mágicas.
Exactly. Estas increíbles y mágicas historias. Yes. I've read every book she's ever written.
He leído cada libro que ella ha escrito.
Que ella ha escrito. I hope she writes a new one soon.
Espero que ella escriba uno nuevo pronto.
Exactly, Michael. Okay, y esa es la opinión de Michael. That's Michael's opinion. So, perfect. Let's see number 2. Irving, please read this one. Number 2.
Okay. What classic literature have you read? I enjoy reading Shakespeare. We had to read his plays in college. Well, we were supposed to, but they were too difficult and I couldn't make heads or tails of them. It can be hard to get your head around the language, but actually, once you come to grips with it, you can see how the plots and characters are still relevant today.
Excellent.
Michael?
Michael, yes, or Michael. Perfect. Excellent. So, what classic literature have you read? What classic literature have you read? What does that mean?
¿Literatura clásica has leído?
Exactly. ¿Qué literatura clásica, qué clásicos de literatura has leído? It says, I enjoy reading William Shakespeare.
Disfruto leer Shakespeare.
Yo disfruto leer a Shakespeare. We had to read his plays in college. We had to read his plays in college. We had to read, sorry.
Tuvimos que leer sus obras.
Yes. Tuvimos que leer sus obras in college. En
La universidad.
la universidad. Well, we were supposed to, but they were too difficult. We were supposed to, but they were too difficult. What does that mean?
Bueno, se supone que teníamos que hacerlo, pero eran difíciles, muy
Pero
difíciles.
eran muy difíciles. And I couldn't make heads or tails of them.
Y no le pude encontrar ni pies ni cabezas, pero no pude, pues sí, literalmente sería distinto, pero a eso servía.
Yes, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Y no le hallé, o sea, no le encontraba ni pies ni cabeza. It can be hard to get your head around the language. It can be hard to get your head around the language. What does that mean? It can be hard to get your head around the language.
Podría ser como, puede ser difícil acostumbrarse al lenguaje.
Kind of, yes. Por ahí va. But actually,
Pero en realidad.
pero de hecho, once you come to grips with it, once you come to grips with it,
Puede ser como que una vez que lo entiendes o algo así.
yes, exactly, just like that. Pero una vez que lo entiendes, you can see how the plots and characters are still relevant today. You can see how the plots and characters are still relevant today. What does that mean?
Puedes ver cómo la trama y los personajes siguen siendo relevantes hasta hoy en día.
Hasta el día de hoy, exactly. Perfect. Now let's see.
Profe, ¿qué era get your head around?
Get your head around.
Ujú.
We'll see in a second. En un momentito lo vemos. I don't want to like get ahead, okay? No me quiero adelantar, but don't worry. It has something to do with today's topic. Tiene mucho que ver con el tema del día de hoy, okay? So don't worry about it. No se me preocupen por eso. Ahorita lo vamos a traducir literal. Vamos a dar ese mensaje. So next one, let's see. Diego, are you here?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you read this one, please? The third one? What?
Yes. What's your favorite piece of literature? Interestingly enough, it's actually a poem. It's one I learned by heart when I was a kid. It's about cats, and I can still recite the whole thing. I can remember who wrote it. So as kids, we used to love reading poems out loud. I still like to actually.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Diego. Perfect. So it says, what's your favorite piece of literature? What does that mean? What's your favorite part of literature?
Pues también se puede traducir como obra también, ¿no? ¿Cuál es tu obra favorita de literatura?
¿Cuál es tu obra? ¿Cuál es tu pieza favorita de literatura? Interestingly enough, it's actually a poem. Interestingly enough, it's actually a poem. No? No one?
Suficientemente interesante.
Ajá.
De hecho, es un poema.
Es en realidad un poema. De hecho, es un poema. It's one I learned by heart when I was a kid.
Es uno que me aprendí como muy de memoria cuando era niño.
Ajá. It's about cats. And I can still recite the whole thing.
Es acerca de los gatos y aún puedo recordar toda la recitación.
Y aún puedo recitar todo. Aún puedo recitarlo completo. I can't remember who wrote it, though. I can't remember who wrote it, though.
No recuerdo quién lo escribió.
Aunque no puedo recordar quién lo escribió. As kids, we used to love reading poems out loud.
De niños solíamos leer, solíamos amar el leer poemas en voz alta.
Exactly. Como niños adorábamos leer poemas en voz alta. I still like to, actually.
De hecho, todavía me gusta.
De hecho, todavía me gusta. Exactly. What did you read most recently? Let me see. Romeli, are you here? Yes, no.
What did you read most recently?
Uh-huh.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. Let's think. No, nothing comes to mind. I don't read a lot of books, but the ones I like tend to be things like biographies, nonfiction, where you learn something and get something out of. out of it. I don't see the point of reading stories that are just made up. Carlos.
Excellent. Perfect. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Romelu. It says, what did you read most recently? What did you read most recently? What does that mean? What did you read most recently?
¿Qué es lo que has leído más recientemente?
Ajá. ¿Qué has leído más recientemente? ¿Qué leíste más recientemente? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. What does that mean? Off the top of my head. Nope. No one? Not a clue? Ni idea?
No sé si esté bien, pero lo interpreto como que off the top of my head, o sea, como que le da un vistazo a su mente como no tan minucioso y
Ajá.
no se le viene nada a la mente, pues.
Ajá.
O sea,
I can't think of anything. No puedo
no
pensar en
pienso
nada.
nada.
Yes, off the top of my head would be something like así de buenas a primeras. Like off the top of my head, de buenas a primeras. I can't think of anything. No puedo, no se me ocurre nada. Let's think. No, nothing comes to mind.
Pensemos, o déjame pensar. No,
Ajá.
nada viene a mi mente. Nada viene a mi
Nada
mente.
viene a mi mente, nada me viene a la mente. I don't read a lot of books, but the ones I like tend to be things like biographies, nonfiction. What does that mean?
No leo muchos libros,
Ajá.
pero los únicos, bueno, los que me gustan tienden a ser cosas como biografías. Ah, no, como, no sé qué sea, non-fiction, no sé qué sea,
Nonfiction, que no son de ficción.
no
Nada
son
de
de ficción. Ujú.
where you learn something and get something out of it. Where you learn something and get something out of it.
Como que donde tú
Ujú.
lees algo y tomas algo de eso mismo, pero como fuera del contexto del libro.
Where you learn something, donde aprendes algo y obtienes algo de ello. And you get something out of it. Y obtienes algo de ahí. I don't see the point of reading stories that are just made up. I don't see the point. Ajá.
No veo el punto en leer historias que solamente las crearon.
No veo el punto, no le veo el chiste, ¿ok? No veo lo importante de leer historias que son inventadas, that are just made up, son inventadas. I don't see the point, no le veo el punto, no le veo el chiste. All right? Yes, all good? Up to this point, hasta este punto, ¿todo bien? All good?
Yes, sure.
Excellent. So let's see, who hasn't read? ¿Quién no ha leído? Who am I missing? Me falta alguien. I'm missing two people. Me faltan dos personitas. Irving, have you read? ¿Ya leíste Irving too? Yes, right?
Yes, I have.
Yes. Vanessa, what about you?
No.
No. Okay, please read this one.
Okay. Is it important to read classic literature? Not really. It's beyond me why people think you should read the classics. You don't have to. I know I probably shouldn't read trashy novels, and I try not to, but some of my favorite books are just cheap romance novels by unknown authors. They're the ones that stick in my mind. Sierra.
Excellent. Yes, perfect. Yeah, great pronunciation. So it says, is it important to read classic literature? What does that mean? Is it important to read classic literature?
Es importante leer clásicos de literatura.
Es importante leer literatura clásica. Es importante leer los clásicos de literatura. Not really. It's beyond me why people think you should read the classics. ¿Mm?
No realmente. El It's Beyond Me puede ser como que un me sobrepasa o un no lo entiendo, algo así.
Sí, it's
Ajá.
beyond me. No lo comprendo, no logro comprender, no logro entender, está por encima de mí. It's
No
beyond me.
entiendo por qué las personas creen que debes leer los clásicos.
Exactly. You don't have to. I know I probably shouldn't read trashy novels. Hmm? You don't have to. I know I probably shouldn't read trashy novels.
No tienes que, sé que tal vez no debería leer novelas basura.
Yes, trashy novels, novelas basura. And I try not to. But some of my favorite books are just cheap romance novels by unknown authors. Hmm?
Y procuro no hacerlo, pero algunos de mis libros favoritos son simplemente novelas de romance baratas por autores desconocidos.
Exactly. They're the ones that stick in my mind.
Son las que se quedan clavadas en mi mente.
Exactly. Yes. Perfect. Thank you very much. And last one. Let me see. Diego has read. Kayla. Yes. Okay. Axel, you can turn your mic. So let's see. Mariana, please.
Yes.
Take us home. Last one, please.
Sorry?
No, can you read this one, please?
Yes. What are you reading right now? Actually, to tell the truth, I don't read much nowadays. I sorry the noise.
All right.
Sorry. Again, actually, to tell the truth, I don't read much nowadays. I used to. In fact, I was an avid reader. I used to read a lot, but these days I prefer not to. I listen to the radio more or podcasts because sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, Jackson. Ahora lo traduzco.
Yes, please.
Ok. Actualmente, para decir verdad, no leo mucho.
Actually, it's not actualmente.
Sorry, de hecho.
En
De
realidad.
hecho.
Yes, careful. No, that's perfect.
De hecho, en estos días, para decir verdad, no leo mucho. Lo solía hacer. In fact, es igual de hecho.
Yes, in fact. In fact.
De hecho, I don't know what is the meaning of avid.
Avid,
Avid. What is the
avid
meaning
reader.
of? What is the meaning of avid reader?
Avid, that he was like ansioso, entusiasta. I was an avid reader.
Que era como un lector entusiasta.
Ajá.
Le solía leer mucho, pero en estos días prefiero no hacerlo, prefiero, escucho más la radio o los podcasts porque perdón, me perdí en mis pensamientos. Algo así.
Sí,
Porque se me fue la onda, ¿no? I lost my train of thought, es como se me fue la onda.
Sí, exactly. Es como que, ay, se me fue de la onda de lo que estaba diciendo. I lost my train of thought. Se me fue la onda.
Lost my train of...
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mariana. Perfect. All right, guys. So now, as you may know by this point, all the highlight words are, how do we call these ones? Like, it's beyond me, stick in my mind, lost my train of thought, come to grips. What?
Idioms.
Idioms, yes, which in Spanish would be called, how do we call idioms in Spanish? How do we call idioms? It's not idiomas. It's not the same. It's not idioms. It's not like literal. What's idioms? ¿Qué son los idioms?
Modismo.
Modismos. Yes, exactly. And as you may know, in Spanish, we also have those. También los tenemos. Actually, before we do this exercise, before we do this one, Well, actually, no. Let's do this first. Please complete the idioms in the chart. Use the interviews above to help you. Okay, then answer the questions in exercise B. Use at least 6 idioms in your answers. Let's see. Okay, but first let's do this part. Okay, first, sorry. First, let's complete this chart. Okay. Yes, got it. Yes. Did you all guys get what we're going to do? ¿Todos entendieron lo que vamos a hacer?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
All right, excellent. So I'll give you 2 minutes. Les doy 2 minutitos. Go ahead. Meanwhile, I'm going for... Now, who wants to say number 2? It's hard to get your
Head around it.
head around it. Exactly. This is the first idiom. Your head, sorry. It's hard to get your head around it. And what does this mean? Who can tell me? It's hard to get your head around it. What would you
Es
think?
como difícil hacerse la idea o difícil entenderlo. O...
Exactly. Just like that. Just like that, Aranza. Es difícil de entenderlo. It's hard to get your head around it. Es como que es difícil de entender, es difícil captar esto. It's hard to get your head around it. Es difícil entenderlo. Por eso está aquí in this part, in this column, understanding, en la parte de entender, de entendimiento. Okay? Perfect. Number 3, it says, you have to come to
Grips with.
You have to come to grips with it, which means you have to come to grips with it.
Tienes que acostumbrarte.
Kind of. There's an idiom in Spanish as well for this. There's an idiom in Spanish. It's like pretty much the same. You have to come to grips with it.
Tienes que hacerte a la idea de algo.
In Spanish, it would be agarrarle la onda, agarrarle la mano. Come to grips with. Tienes que agarrarle la onda. Ok, eso sería en informal. Un poquito más formal el modismo sería tienes que agarrarle la mano. Okay, you have to come to grips with it. ¿Vale? You have to understand it. Tienes que entenderlo. You have to agarrarle la onda in Spanish. Okay? Yes? Yes, everyone understood? ¿Todos entendieron?
Yes, teacher.
Excellent. Number 4, you want to get something? You want to get something?
Out of it.
Out of it. Exactly. Out of it. Which means?
Quieres como obtener algo de.
Exactly. Obtener algo. Obtain something. It means to obtain something. Get something out of it means obtain something. Obtener algo. Recibir algo a cambio. Extract something. Extraer algo. Yes. It's me. It's It's beyond me. What does this mean?
Está por encima de mí.
Exactly. Está por encima de mí. It's beyond me. It's hard for me. It's hard. It's very hard to comprehend or understand something or imagine something. Es difícil para mí comprender, imaginarme algo. ¿Ok? Es muy difícil. It's nearly impossible. Es casi imposible. It's beyond me. Me sobrepasa, me supera. It's beyond me. ¿Ok? Next one. I don't see
the point of it.
The point. I don't see the point of it. Which means?
No le veo el punto o el
No le
sentido.
veo el punto, no le veo el caso, no le veo el sentido, no le veo el chiste. Tantos modismos que tenemos también en español. No le veo el punto, no le veo el caso. Okay? No le veo el punto, no le veo el chiste, no le veo el caso, etc. Because I don't see the point of it. Okay? I don't see the importance of this. No le veo la importancia. No veo por qué es importante entender esto. Perfect. And now let's go to the remembering column. La columna de remember, de recordar. So for example, the first one says, it's
On the tip of my tongue.
on the tip of my tongue, which means
Ahí está la punta de mi lengua.
está en la punta de mi lengua. It's on the tip of my tongue. Está en la punta de mi lengua, which means we want to say something. Queremos decir algo. We want to say something, but we just can't remember what is it. Okay? We are ready. We're ready to say something, to utter something, but we just can't remember it. Pero simplemente no lo podemos recordar. Y estamos listos para decirlo, pero no lo podemos recordar. That's why we say, it's on the tip of my tongue. Está en la punta de mi lengua. Perfect. We have to learn it by heart. Exactly. Yes. Which means
Con amor.
kind of, yes. De recordarlo con amor, de aprenderlo con amor, o con el corazón, which is something that you have learned previously, something that you have learned so good that you don't have to read it or review it again. You already know it. Okay? You memorize it. You have memorized it. Ya se lo memorizaron, ya se lo aprendieron tan bien de corazón que ya no necesitan ni leerlo ni como que verlo, repasarlo. Ya nada más con acordarse, you have it. I don't know of
The top of my head.
the top of my head, which means the top of my head, off the top of my head. What does that mean? Off the top of my head. No? No one? No idea?
No, teacher.
No, don't worry. Off the top of my head means like at first thought. De primer pensamiento, como que at the top of my head, así como que por encimita, así de buenas a primeras. Lo primero que se viene a la mente, eso es. Off the top of my head. ¿Ok? Off the top of my head. Así de buenas a primeras, de primer pensamiento, esto. ¿Ok? Sin como que revisarlo, sin como que prestarle tanta atención. Sin, without thinking it deeply, without deeply thinking about it or thinking thoroughly. Yes, Romely?
¿Cómo podríamos usar esa frase en una conversación o en una oración?
That's a perfect question. Es una excelente pregunta. For example, if I ask you a question like, what's your favorite movie? And I would be like, oh, that's a good question. Let me think. Oof, off the top of my head, I could say, it's still a hard one, but I would go for La La Land, for example. You see? That's an example. Sería como que, ok, ¿cuál es tu película favorita? Uy, híjole, esa sí está difícil. Esa es buena. Así de buenas a primeras, off the top of my head, de buenas a primeras, como que la primera que se viene a la mente, I think La La Land. Yo creo que La La Land, for example, for saying something. Okay? Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. ¿Sí quedó claro cómo lo usamos? How do we use it in a conversation? Was it clear?
Yes.
Excellent. Perfect. So yeah, that's off the top of my head. Then it says, nothing comes
to mind.
To mind. Exactly. Which means
No se me viene nada a la mente.
nada se me viene a la mente. Also, también, we can use this one. Because here it's in a negative way. Aquí está de una forma negativa, but we can also use this expression. First thing that comes to mind lo primero que se me viene a la mente, then again, using the same example, Romeli, as off the top of my head, así como que de buenas a primeras. For example, what's your favorite movie? ¿Cuál es tu película favorita? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is La La Land. Lo primero que se me viene a la mente, la primera cosa que se me viene a la mente es La La Land, for example. Okay? Yes?
Yes, teacher.
Excellent. Next one. Sometimes I lose my
Mine.
Train.
train of thought. Exactly. Sometimes I lose my train of thought, which means
Y a veces me pierdo como en mi cabeza, ¿no?
sometimes I lose my train of thought. A veces me pierdo en mi cabeza, se me pierden mis pensamientos, a veces se me va la onda. Okay, sometimes I lose my train of thought. A veces se me va el tren, tal cual como decimos, se me va el tren, se me va la onda. Okay? Yes. And last one, her stories in my mind.
Stick.
Stick in my mind. Her stories stick in my mind, which means stories stick in my mind.
Como que la tengo muy, se me quedó grabada, ¿no?
Se me graban, se me pegan en la cabeza. Her stories stick in my mind. Se me graban en la mente, se me pegan en la mente. Que las recuerdo muy bien. Her stories stick in my mind. Sus historias se me pegan en la mente. O sea, las recuerdo muy bien. Porque me gustaron mucho, a lo mejor porque significaron mucho. They mean a lot to me. Or I just like them a lot. So, yes, that's why. Okay? Yes, guys? All good?
Yes, teacher.
All good regarding the topic of idioms? Yes? Any questions, any doubts with this topic? No?
No.
All right. Well, I'll be sending to you this presentation about idioms, all right? I'm going to send it to you later on. En un ratito se las envío, se las mando. It's a presentation about idioms, about what are idioms, and some examples, okay, of them. So you can practice them later, para que la practiquen más al rato, all right?
Yes, teacher.
All right, perfect. So if you have any questions, any doubts, maybe with this presentation, you will get everything out of it, okay? And remember, if you have further questions, you can always ask us, right? Teacher Irving and I, okay? So don't you, perfect, excellent. So please don't ever stay with doubts. Nunca se queden con dudas. Perfect. So, well, if there are no further questions, then this is going to be